I'm with Bob Casselman, City Manager here in Brockville, Ontario. Bob, can you talk a little bit about some of the magic that's going on in Brock Vegas?
There's lots of magic that's happening in Brockville these days. Certainly from a corporate plan perspective, we have a number of different initiatives that are ongoing, particularly as it relates to amenities. We're putting in place a new secondary treatment plant, $46 million project, largest project in the history of Brockville. Secondly, we're looking at the Maritime Discovery Center, which is slated to be opened May 24 weekend 2013, nicely under construction. We've chosen the exhibits and are now in the construction phase associated with the overall project. We've certainly taken on a number of different financial and environmental sustainability initiatives over the course of the last number of years. That's had great gains for our municipality. Quite frankly, we've had an increase in ridership from a transit perspective of about 13% over the last 18 months or so. Secondly,
what would you attribute that to? That's a pretty steep increase.
Well, we've looked very carefully with respect to what the needs of the community and area are, and we've adjusted our ridership and our bus scheduling from a 1 hour pickup to a half-hour pickup, and that's certainly had positive results. Secondly, we've looked at a number of different energy efficiency initiatives, and as a result of that, in the last 18 months, we've reduced our carbon footprint by about 10%. That was an initiative that we thought we could achieve over a 5-year period, and as a result of the good works that we've been able to put in the ground over the course of the last 18 months, we've reached our target in that short period of time. Examples of that is we put solar panels on top of our hockey rinks, and we've garnered a cash flow of about $200,000 a year. That represents about 3/4 of one tax point. So anytime you can do that and bring those types of revenues into your revenue stream, it's very exciting. Some tools to do the job, I guess. We've, over the course of the last few years, we had an old official plan, about 25 years old. It was important for us to go back to the community and see what they wanted the community to look like over the course of the next 30 years. So we have a new official plan that is now been approved by council as before the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for final approval. Other tools that we're looking at, we have a number of incentives that we try and attract development to our community, and we're currently reviewing those incentives, which ones have worked well, which ones have not worked well. We're reaching out to the various stakeholders to try and get a better understanding of what the future needs are of the incentive package that we're going to put in place. The next item is one of our important assets is our waterfront, and we want to understand what our community wants the waterfront to look like over the course of the next 30-year period. So we've reached out to them over the course of the last year, gotten their input, and we've developed a new waterfront public use strategy. So we have the vision of what we want the waterfront to look like over the course of the next 30-year period. Very important to do that.
You have a new condo development on the waterfront.
We sure do. We have one that currently is under construction. That's a Tall Ship Landing Development Inc. project. That's a 3P partnership with the city of Brockville. Part and parcel of the condo development is also a Maritime Discovery Center that we've entered into a 3P partnership back in 2007. As you can see, it's under construction. That's very exciting. It's about a $60 million investment within our community.
How many units would that be in total?
My recollection is it's about 93 units or so. That's just one condo development of many that we have within the community, yeah. And they're at various stages of approval.
And what would be an entry point price-wise for those type of units, roughly?
Oh boy.
Because that 93 units just for one development, that would be a big impact on the tax base here.
You bet. It would represent, once fully occupied, about $1 million in tax revenue on an annual basis. So that's significant. That represents about 4 tax points for the city of Brockville. So very significant. Price point, I think you'd have to check with the developer. I know that the price points have changed over the course of time, given the market conditions and the economy over the course of the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been in a bit of a dip, and I think that they've had to adjust their pricing strategy accordingly. But that's just one project. Yep. We have a number of different condo projects within the community that are at various stages of investment, and I think we've probably got about 3 or 4 other projects that likely you're going to start seeing coming out of the ground in the next 18 months or so. So we have several hundred millions of dollars of investment along our waterfront. Very exciting times for us, and I think that's a reflection of the environment that we're trying to create from an economic development perspective, and also the incentives that we have in place. It's proven that the incentives that we do have in place are working. And
So what type of incentives are you giving to create this development?
well, as you might imagine, all along the St. Lawrence River, from Montreal up to Toronto, has been built and prospered during the early stages of Confederation, based upon industry being on the waterfront. They've left a number of different brownfields along our shoreline. So we put in place a community improvement plan that provides incentives to clean up the brownfields, to revitalize that stagnant land. And secondly, we have a second community improvement plan that basically says if you want to come and invest in our downtown core, which we feel is very important, we will provide up to 5 years tax-free status in order to do that. So
You're talking property tax or?
property tax, that's right. So if you, a simple example would be, next door we have the Wedgwood Retirement Facility. It was about a $23 million investment in the last 2 to 3 years. They have taxes of about $100,000 a year or so. They're waived for a 5-year period.
That's a heck of an incentive.
That's an excellent incentive, and it's working, quite frankly.
How many people would be employed in an operation like that? Would you have that info?
I wouldn't have
Ballpark?
that. I wouldn't have. Dave Paul will know that information.
Okay.
But that's a significant investment within our community, and you spoke to me earlier on about how we trying to maintain our downtown vibrancy, given what's happening in what I'll call uptown, where you
Right.
have the box stores. And it's tough slugging, quite frankly, and we have a vision with respect to what we want our community to look like, particularly in the downtown core, and we're putting significant incentives in place in order to try and make that happen. And it's working. It's taking sometimes a little bit longer than what you might like, but quite frankly, in my view, it is working. We're getting several hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in the downtown core. And the trick, I think, as far as having a vibrant downtown, is to densify it. Have people living downtown, walking downtown, going to the local stores, creating that little niche market which will survive. So it's good news for the city.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.